Wait forever if you want me to. Taking on the love for you. Wait forever if you want me to. Taking on the love for you. Wait forever if you want me to. Taking on the love for you. Wait forever if you want me to. I hear the distant thunder calling outside the sky is dark and gray.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host Prince Magnum. Welcome to Do-It-Yourself Budget Hot Rodding. Okay, in today's video we're going to give you the true update of Project Spirit, okay? I've held off on this because one, for the longest time there really wasn't a whole lot to show you. It was me taking parts off, sanding them, trying to straighten out any damage if I can, and trying to figure out what I'm replacing, what I'm not replacing. Basically it was a lot of stuff that really doesn't make good for video, okay? So what I'm going to show you is kind of where we're at on that front end. It's about a 4-minute video on what we've done. Some of it's going to be from the old HQ, and then all of a sudden you'll notice the new HQ, and you'll kind of see where we're kind of going from there, all right? There's a lot of information to condense into this video, so without further ado, here's some of the work that's been going on that you guys have not been, have been able to see. so we've got a good start. Now, very importantly, I want to talk briefly. Now, you guys know that from what you can kind of see, once I was able to get that old banged up fender off of Project Spirit, the core support, which again should not be a surprise, there's like millions of cars out there that were made, you know, my best knowledge of cars starts in 1987 and goes all the way back to the good old days and a little bit further beyond that in a lot of ways. But there's like thousands of different styles of cars, countries, and makes and models and things like that. So I've always known those core supports being able to be taken off the car. Guess what I discovered? This one doesn't come off. It's made onto the body of the Project Spirit. Her core support is made onto the body. I did not know that. So I had to figure out, okay, obviously it's still straight here. So what I need to do is I'm going to have to take and I'm going to have to straighten that corner where it was folded in up against the car. I need to either A, straighten that, or B, I need to lop it off with a cutoff and take the one that I bought, and which was off of a Maverick that was rusted beyond condition, and graft it into place. Which that's definitely that still may be an option on the plate if I don't think I can get it where I need it. Okay, and even if there's any parts that, you know, sections that I feel uncomfortable using, this would definitely be the time to graft those pieces in, so I know I got the exact gauge that was meant from the factory, so we don't change too much, you know, get away from the chosen idea, I guess you could say. So, from that point, I did manage to get it, I mean, almost perfectly straight. And this allowed me, since purchasing, you know, that new fender, we've not been able to check this, so this was important. Let me show you this clip. That's right, folks. That is the very first test fit of the brand new fender for Project Spirit. That means we are really close to begin painting and all that other stuff. So for those of you who have been helping along with this project, even though it's been hard pressed to get this far, the work is paying, you know, basically, you know, the help that you guys have given me has been paying off. It's just taken us a little while to get to this point, okay? Now, obviously, there's a little bit more work that has to be done. I have to make a few minor modifications to the core support to allow for that bigger radiator to go in there, because we don't want it to get too close to that fan, because if we get it too close, the blades could they could accidentally nick that, it could nick the radiator and bust it up real good. So we don't want to do that. That's a good radiator. I'd like to keep it in good condition. So we're going to have to make a few minor modifications, make sure that everything fits as it should, and then grind everything down, shoot it with paint, shoot it with primer, then paint. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at on that. And so you guys will, we'll try to keep you in the loop on that one. And the plan is, if all goes well, from the filming of basically by the time you guys see this video, hopefully within a month of that, we should be ready to actually turn Project Spirit over for the first time in 3 years. Okay? So, test fit, everything lines up really nice. Obviously, once we go bolting, paint, prime, the whole nine, prime, paint, and and finish. There's obviously going to be the fit and finish, and we still got to get a brand new hood of some sort. More on that in another video. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, last definitely but not least, the biggest glaring issue that we have is the fact that all 4 tires were damaged. Okay, now we talked about this in a previous video. We obviously know who did it, and even if I had the proof, we won't get our prosecutor to actually do his job. He doesn't. Blake Dudley, expect your video soon. So that being said, what do we do? Okay, because under normal circumstances, you know, when a car is got a flat tire, it'll lean one way or the other, but all 4 tires are keeping it up, and it's still fairly easy to get a jack underneath it. So, and then once you get that jack underneath it, you've got the other 3 tires helping you keep it at the height, you know, keep it at the height you need it as you raise the vehicle up. And then you can change the tire and put it all back together. But in this case, all 4 tires are flat. So the problem is that we have to use kind of a weird jockey system to get the car up high enough so we can begin changing those tires. And then with the front end, there's a whole process there because you don't want to damage the front end. And we're going to kind of talk about that in this clip right here. Alrighty, folks. By this point, I think we all know what project this is. I mean, we've been talking about her throughout the whole video in some way, shape, or form. But I felt it was necessary to talk about this. There's enough videos here on YouTube, probably of people showing you how to properly change a tire. Duh. Okay? It's one of those things that I think everybody should know how to do by now. If you don't know how, look up a video. But where this is important for me to tell you, and this is probably the safest way I could tell you, is because of all 4 tires being thrashed, she was way too low to the ground for me to get my floor jack underneath and put a few blocks under that jack or whatever, some way to extend it and get her up off the ground high enough so I could change the tire. So what's the solution? You have to walk it up. Now, even if you're using jack stands, you're still going to have to walk it up high enough to do that. And in order to do that, one of the best ways I know how, and I'm sure there's other techniques out there, but the best way I know to do it is to gradually raise it with blocks. So you'll go up, slide a good sized block of wood right there, like that, and then you'll keep going up until you get it high enough to be able to change the tire safely. And the blocks of wood, I mean, you can get these just, somebody somewhere has probably got something like this laying around, okay? So it's real easy. So now we've got the we've got the tire in place, and of course pretty much from here it's no different than changing a tire in like all the other videos, but this is the best way I knew how to do it, and it's somewhat safe. Really quick. Is it perfect? You wish. But since we're at this point, I can now, because I've got the lug nuts snugged up, I can easily slide these out of the way. So even if my jack did give, before this, I had the blocks of wood underneath it to kind of protect me. Okay? But because we are kind of changing how the car is sitting like this, it's kind of sitting like this, we are going to have to do this to the other side. And even though we're not, the other tire for the other side is not in yet, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take the time and prop it up anyways. We have actually changed how the car is sitting. And it doesn't really matter so much with the back end, but with the front end, that's a big deal, okay? Tilting a car like this on the front end, I don't care if it's front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, all wheel drive, doing that is actually hard on the suspension. So do yourself a favor, even though we don't have the other tire for the other side just yet, we still need to get it up off the ground, and we've got blocks of wood to actually do that. So as my good buddy Spirit Wolf of Spirit Wolf Gaming would say, wood for the win, right? Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and snug this all up, and then we'll be in the office soon enough talking about what you all have seen. So we've got one tire on, and the other side is already blocked up, so now the car kind of sits like this, okay? And then by getting that other tire on there, we'll be able to stabilize it, and then we can then not worry until, you know, basically in another 2 weeks, we'll be able to get the other two tires and get Project Spirit back level, which means that as we're going into, you know, getting close to that month, we'll be able to begin getting things like a battery, a good cheap battery to kind of get her started and moved. Because the objective is to get her moving under her own power and move her from where she's sitting in the driveway to inside the garage before bad weather hits. Because then I'll be able to work on her, you guessed it, all winter long. I'll be able to have everything ready to go. Hopefully by spring, she'll be able to roll out, and I'll be able to take her Project Spirit over, and anything else that has to be done by springtime as far as electrical, you know, for lights and things like that, we'll be able to have all of those issues taken care of. But first things first, we have to get her to where she can move on her own power. Now, along with that, we may also have to replace some brake parts because they've had 3 years exposed to the elements without any movement, and we could be running into where brakes are frozen up. And rather than you know, taking a chance on those parts, we're going to go ahead and yank those parts off and possibly either clean them up, see if they still work, or we're just going to flat out replace them. And that way she's rolling on all new equipment, and we know that the parts are safe. So we're going to definitely have to go through the front end, and in the process of this, hopefully by summertime, we're going to be installing a brand new brake booster system and turn Project Spirit over into Power Brakes. But more on all of that as time goes on, okay? We're getting close to the end now of 2024. We're looking at 2025, and hopefully by October of 2025, when the missus and I are done with all the formalities of the previous marriage, we're looking at getting married, and we have already decided our honeymoon. We are hitting Route 66, and we want to do it in Project Spirit. Couldn't think of any other way to do it other than to hit Route 66. It's kind of been on my bucket list, and evidently I did not know this, and this definitely deserves a video of its own. It's on Princess Starsoul's bucket list, and I didn't know it until someone asked one day, what would you guys like to do for your honeymoon? I didn't know it. We kind of said it at the same time. Some of you guys right now are saying, that's a keeper. That is a keeper if you got a woman who wants to do that. Okay, so that brings us to the stopping point for this particular video. Really quick, again, I know many of you have said, what can I do to help? You know, what can I do to help? Patreon, definitely the way to go. If you could, you know, there's well over 1,000 of you, almost 1,200 of you to be precise. As the counting this morning for this video, I'm sitting at 1,197. That's ridiculously close. So if you got any friends that like a guy who could do quite a variety channel, send them on over. Let's go ahead and shoot those numbers through the roof. But if you yourself want to help with the project cars, and I talk about this regularly, get over to Patreon, $1 a month. You figure there's about like 1,000 of you right now. Even if half of you did that, I mean, that's a good chunk of change. $1 a month, you figure, because that's as low as Patreon will let me go. I mean, even if you threw a penny at me and said, that's all I got on me, use it towards Spirit, I'd still be grateful. But the reality of it is that's as low as Patreon will let me go. And that being said, we can, you know, you figure, you know, even if 100 of you did it, you know, that $1 a month would definitely be a big game changer. Because I could do something with that. Along with that, you know, we also have Teespring. You know, the original Project Spirit logo t-shirts are still there. Now, it has been in the making for a while, redoing the logo significantly. that sort of thing. Without a question, that is definitely on the plate. But, all proceeds from both places will have to go into both project cars. Because eventually, as time goes on, well, let me just kind of give you details. The Prince Magnum channel now has a grand total of 4 project cars. Project Spirit being at the forefront, Project Lena being right behind it, but we got 2 others that are right on that list, so a total of 4. But these other ones, one of them we won't be touching for at least a good while. I'm figuring at least a couple of years before we even look at messing with it. But it's important to know that this car is definitely something that would not be something on what you would consider something on the list for the Prince Magnum channel. And number 2, we have the Mrs.'s car, and the project with it is, well, we've already got it running, but we're going to do a few more things and kind of bring it up into, I guess you could say, from the decade that it is, a little closer to more modern decade sort of stuff. So that being said, that's definitely, again, something on the agenda, all right? So your money, any money you guys send, obviously, to the channel will definitely be put to use properly, okay? Alrighty, and pretty much from there, I get to say to all of you, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is, just do something with yourselves. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for every last one of you out there, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.
You hear me? Wrong. This is wrong me. My brains are